introduce a very special guest, Karima Sharif, a highly respected and accomplished sailing expert. Karima brings more than 30 years of hands-on sailing experience with over 10,000 nautical miles logged across the oceans and major bodies of water around the world. Her career on the water spans long-distance passages, demanding conditions, and the kind of real-world challenges that only seasoned sailors encounter. Today, she will be sharing her personal experiences, lessons learned, and challenges that she faced while navigating these waters. Also, she will include insights that are both practical and inspiring for anyone with a passion for sailing and adventure. Let me introduce you.
Thank you. Wow, that's quite an intro. Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you.
And she's a volunteer at the Utes.
That's right.
You Sailing Foundation.
That's right. All right. Whew. We'll be able to team that way.
Sorry.
Should work. Can you move it? Water. All right, so let me see if I can read the room and see if I should give the PG-13 version of this presentation, or I see some no nods in the background. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. I think I'm supposed to turn something on here to turn the screen on, and it's this thing, I believe. And
Come on, Dan.
Rest your mind.
I think you're.
is that it? Okay.
Why don't you get rid of your.
Okay, my water bottle and stuff in. Okay, that sounds great, because that'll make the presentation a little more. Okay, great. You know, maybe if you don't mind, I will turn off this light too. Is that okay?
Yes, that's.
Okay.
I don't think you can reach it. It's
Okay.
over there. You guys know how to do it?
Oh.
Oh, that's the fan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, it's fine. I was just thinking that maybe that one would make the saturation a little bit better on the screen.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Sure.
Oh,
That's better, isn't it? Okay, great. Well, thank you all for coming this evening. I really appreciate it. So my name is Karima Sharif, and I've actually been sailing only for 29 years, not 30. And I actually have not 10,000 miles, nautical miles at sea. It's more like 9,500 to be exact. So I just wanted to make sure that that was corrected. And so in November of 2024, I sailed across from the Canary Islands, from an island called Lanzarote, to Guadaloupe on my uncle's boat. And so I just wanted to start off by saying that the journey was 25 days long, and we passed the total passage was 3,174 nautical miles. And I just wanted to do a few housekeeping things. If you have your cell phone on mute, I would appreciate that if you could do that. And we're going to save questions to the end if you don't mind. And we are actually recording this also, so it will be available on my website, which is oceanagent.org, and we'll be sharing it with the Power Squad, and you're welcome to promote that and to use that as you see fit. So let's see here. I have been a boat owner for 23 years. I had a Islander Bahama 30 from 1971 with a Volvo Penta MD7A engine that I loved and adored and sailed throughout San Francisco Bay. And during that time, I spent a lot of time rafting up with a group called the Washed Up Yacht Club. And this group of people didn't want to pay a membership due, but they wanted to have a group to sail together and raft up. So we would raft up quite often at Clipper Cove on a monthly basis, and we would also sail up the Delta once a year to have a festival, a floating festival of boats on the water called Ephemerile. So that was a lot of fun, and today I'm going to be, I've done a Pacific crossing in 2014, and that was a 15-day passage, and it was from Oahu to Port Angeles in Washington. And the reason I decided to sail in that direction, because normally with the trade winds, it makes more sense to leave from San Francisco and to sail to Kauai, as they do with the solo Transpac race. And I really wanted to do the solo Transpac race, so I figured if I go in the opposite direction, I'll figure out how difficult it is in that opposite direction. And it ended up being not as bad as I had thought, and I think that's really when the bug started for me. And we were on the same tack for 7 days, so definitely sleeping like this the entire time. So not a lot of sail changes during that particular sail. So first to orient anyone who is unfamiliar with the Canary Islands, they're just off of Western Africa. And as you can see here, the Western Saharan sands that we're so familiar with it here, as far as visibility changes that come across the ocean. And I also sailed, I did some offshore training last, 3 years ago in October with an organization called 59 North. And 59 North organizes, they have about 3 boats, and you know, the wonderful thing about them is that you can just sail and choose a certain leg. And the thing that I went to do was from Lagos, Portugal, down towards, we did it. It wasn't for a destination. The goal was to spend 400 nautical miles at sea and making sure to trim the sails and to just make the boat move as efficiently as possible. And so we were working with a lot of professional sailors and racers to make the boat move as efficiently as possible. So when I arrived in Lanzarote, my uncle picked me up. He had his hat, it was 2 days after the US election, and his hat read, "Make America One Again." And it was an interesting situation, because the first thing he did was he took me to the grocery store. And boy, are those impressive, as far as if you've traveled to Spain and you see all of the hams, those are hams that are hanging in that picture there. And he selected some of these fish here, the red ones in the corner, to have for dinner that night. So I wanted to start off my presentation by talking about Columbus's voyages, and specifically the yellow line, this one right here, which is the 4th voyage in 1502. And so that voyage is most similar to the one that we took, and he made that passage in about 21 days. And the interesting thing is that I was really, during this trip, pushing to encourage the rest of the crew to use the big Genoa, because one of the things about this particular route is that it's a downhill slide, and you have that downwind coming from your stern the entire time. So one of the challenges is that sometimes your mainsail is blocking whatever sail is in the front. If you end up going wing and wing, it makes the boat very, very unstable. And then you have to use a preventer for safety. And for those who are not familiar with what a preventer is, Preventer is a safety line that prevents an accidental jibe from happening, and it's especially crucial when you have a big swell. And mid-trip, we were having pretty large swells of about 16 feet.
Oh my, that scared me.
And so the reality was that during that 3,174 nautical miles, we were under canvassed a lot of the time, in my opinion. And I feel like when you are a boat owner, you tend to not push the crew and the boat hard enough to break it. And especially during a passage, that is an okay and smart thing to do, because there are no chandleries and they're close by to repair a sail or to repair anything. So that is a cautious way to go. But that is basically why a 15th century Italian in a wooden tub beat us by 4 days. So generally speaking, when you're crossing the Atlantic Ocean, the concept is that you go south until the butter starts melting. Has anyone heard that before? Yeah, and so that's generally the approach. And so that's what we did, and we decided not to stop in Capo Verde, which is one of the destinations off of Western Africa that a lot of people stop in. And I think that if I were to do an Atlantic crossing again, I would definitely stop there. Just after getting to know what is the culture and how isolated they are, I think it would be a very worthy stop. So this is a picture of Lanzarote, and the thing I wanted to express about them is that it seems like a very improbable place to find an exquisite wine. And I highly recommend that you visit Lanzarote and any of the Canary Islands, but in particular Lanzarote, because what they do here is they create these deep, they're volcanic ash pits, and the water gathers around the tree to create this very unique flavor, and it's called a Malvasa wine. And when I tasted it, I just thought, oh my goodness, I should move here, this is fabulous. And the other thing that was very surprising on this very deserted island was how fabulous their goat cheese was. And what the heck are the goats eating is what I'd like to know. And the remoteness and just how little water there is, they basically, just as a fun fact, they actually produce somewhere to the vicinity of 21 million gallons of water through desalinization on that island.
Oh
so it's a pretty expensive process. In 2020, they found that there's a mountain in the background of this photograph called Timanfaya Volcanic Mountain, and luckily it hasn't erupted since the 70s, but they did find enough water underneath that mountain to last them for 70% of a year. So that's a pretty significant savings for them. The beaches are fabulous in Lanzarote. These are some examples. And now going to the boat that we sailed across on. This is my uncle's boat, which is an Alubat Ovni 450. It is a French design. It's a robust aluminum boat, and it has a lifting keel. And the interesting thing about this is that you can put this boat and beach it on the sand. And so when the keel is up, it's about 3.4 feet, and when it's fully down, it's 9.5, and you can go anywhere between, depending on the depth of water that you're sailing in. So it is 45.86 lengths overall, and has a beam of 14 feet and a displacement of 25,463 pounds. And you can get this boat in a configuration with either 3 or 2 cabins. We had a 2 cabin, so we were 5 people total during this. So 2 people were actually sleeping in the main settee salon. And this boat had solar on it. It had 5,500 kilowatts of solar on it. It was built in 2023. And 2 different types of aluminum in this hull. It has the 5083 and also the 6060, the T6 aluminum. And what that means, and the reason I point that out is because if you ever are going to buy an aluminum boat, that's something to pay attention to as far as the T6 heat treat, and to find out exactly what kind of aluminum your boat is made out of, because that is a way of like artificially aging the aluminum. So through the quenching process of putting it in that solution, they're making it stronger and excellent, and as far as being more resistant to corrosion. So these are some images of the interior and also exterior of the boat. I definitely thought that the cockpit on this boat was very comfortable and lots of room. There were 2 roller furlings, one for the jib and for the Genoa. The smaller one was for going upwind, and the larger Genoa was either for that second spot there is for a for like a code 0. And for those who aren't familiar with a code 0, what that is, it's a versatile sail that is hybrid. You can use it in light wind, and it's kind of between like a Genoa and a spinnaker. So that's an asymmetrical jib, a sail that goes on the front of the boat. So this is my bunk on the boat. I was in the engine compartment, which I actually didn't mind very much because it's one of the stabler places on the boat. A little warm because they did run the engine at night to recharge the batteries and to recharge the water maker as far as keeping the tanks full. Before leaving, we did see a little bit of a leak in the fresh water. So that was a little bit of a mystery, and you definitely don't want to be leaving with that. So introducing the crew, this is my Uncle Bogusz, and so we were best buddies when I was a kid, and he used to take me through the snow when I was 3, and he was 14. And then we kind of drifted apart because he was working as industrial fishing fleets, and I chose a career in ocean conservation to stop illegal fishing. So for quite a few years we were not seeing eye to eye. So I was really looking forward to that when he invited me on this trip for us to kind of rekindle our friendship. So this is one of his fishing trawlers from back in the day, and it is named after my grandmother Alina. It is 360 feet long, and it certainly has been an interesting relationship, to say the least. So these are some pictures from the past. That's him and I in the middle, me picking my nose as usual, and that's him with my dad, and this is my grandmother Alina, who is the person who is...
Scoot your computer.
Scoot my computer? That way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks. That's my grandmother Alina, who basically raised me while my mom was working, so she was a big influence. So this was Bogusz's first mate. His name is Maciej Kisiel. He's a Polish mariner and businessman, and he freezes a lot of the fish that my uncle's fishing fleet collects. So they're kind of business partners, if you will. And they've crossed the Atlantic together 3 times in total. And you know that expression, what happens at sea stays at sea? Well, that's this case with these 2 guys, because the last time they were at sea, mysteriously an EPIRB went off, and the Canadian and US Coast Guard were summoned, and nobody knows the real story. Who panicked, who pushed the button, what happened? So that was a very interesting situation, to say the least. So let's see here.
Where was he fishing though? Where was it?
His fleets fish in all over the world, off of Mauritania, off of North and East Africa, in Scandinavian waters. So he has very, very many fishing fleets that are still active.
Wow.
Yeah. So Wodek, this is the other crew person, and I just wanted to preface this. I definitely have nothing against carpenters. I'm married to one, and Jesus was a carpenter after all, wasn't he? So Wodek was a carpenter who knew absolutely nothing about sailing, but he ended up being somebody that I really connected with on the boat. And this was my uncle's neighbor, who is a banker, and his name is Andre, and it was his dream to sail across the ocean. But the problem was that he was so seasick that we almost had to drop him off at Canary Islands before leaving, because he just was not doing very well. Luckily, they convinced him to stay on board, and after day about 4 or 5, he was finally coming to get used to the conditions. And that brings me to scopolamine and gravel. And one of the things that I would say about this was the first time I've used scopolamine patches, and you wear them behind your ear for about 3 days. And gravel is something that is over the counter. It's readily available in Canada. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that scopolamine was generated from several different plants. It was invented in 1881, and it can be found in deeply nightshade, deadly nightshade, I meant to say, angel trumpet, and Jimson weed. And it was actually used during World War II to stop the soldiers from getting seasick when they were crossing the English Channel to France for the invasion of Normandy. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that I did find that the scopolamine patches worked effectively, but I did mix them a couple of days with the gravel, and I did notice a certain amount of memory loss when I got back, and just short-term memory loss. It did come back, luckily, but I just wanted to heed the warning and to make sure that this doesn't happen to you, because one of the things about the scopolamine patches is that you put it behind your ear, and sometimes you won't feel it. It could be stuck to your back, as far as you know, so you're still getting that dose. So I definitely advise people not to take it after the experience that I've had. So now down to the deep and dirty. So I just wanted to say that as far as on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as crew preparedness, I would give us probably a 3 or a 4, because we did not sail together until we actually started on the journey. And we were not familiar with any of the instruments. We did not tack or jibe the boat together or do any kind of practicing until we were underway. The philosophy was, well, you have 3,000 miles to learn how to tack and jibe the boat, so let's just go. And it ended up creating this feeling of like not really knowing the boat, and like you're grabbing at different lines, and it just definitely didn't seem like the best way to go about it. I think that if I were a captain, I would have done some trial tacks and jibes so that people would get used to that. And one of the funny things is that there was a debate like 3 days into the sail about how to use a self-tailing winch properly. And so luckily we had Starlink, and we were able to go to YouTube and pull up some videos. But that kind of stuff should not be happening when you're underway. And I feel like those things should be taken care of at the dock. And so I am Polish born and speak Polish fluently, but I've never sailed in Polish. And so one of the funny things was that Shota, foka, and grota are very similar sounding when you are in a very windy environment. And a shota is a sheet, and a foka is a head sail, and a grota is a mainsail. So, I definitely felt like there was a lot of room for misunderstanding. So I just want to show you this quick video of they were doing some lessons. Maciek and Bogusz had somebody in Lanzarote teaching them how to back up the boat and bring it so it was basically like maybe 10 inches away from the dock and back again. So I'm going to show you the short video of my uncle backing the boat and then the instructor backing the boat. building some suspense.
So who's this, the instructor or?
This is my uncle.
Oh, he looks younger there.
Back in it.
All right, and so now this video, whoa, that's the same one. So now this is the instructor, Christian.
Oh, no. Good night.
So, wow. I don't know if that was so easy to see from where you're at, but he was within inches, but just so seamlessly and calmly and not a lot of maneuvers. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that we always need to perfect is not oversteering, basically. And that brings me to an incident that I did not film because I freaked out. The next person, Maciek, was doing exactly that same exercise, and at the inopportune moment when he was supposed to be putting the boat in forward, he put it hard in reverse, jammed the stern of the boat, and the dock lifted up like this. And if you can see, these are the stern crash rails that were bent. He was trying to like straighten them with a crowbar, and then eventually we had to saw them off and find new pipe to weld with only 3 days to leave. So we weren't sure if the back of the transom was compromised or not, and so we did what we could to rescue the situation. So Maciek's daughter and myself went to the other side of the island to get the proper type of aluminum that is marine grade to fit into this little tiny rental car. And we did end up welding, or actually Christian's crew had brought welders to put those back on, and we were able to sail off despite that damage. Now, whether or not there were hairline fractures in that transom is yet to be discovered, but we certainly did have a saltwater leak that was discovered a good 6 days into the trip. Is anyone familiar with the Ark Rally? Because the Ark Rally is an Atlantic crossing that happens every year of boats traveling from Europe to the Caribbean. And so they leave very much at the same time of year, usually in November. And so they left, they have a weather coordinator that tells them when the weather window is the best for them to leave. And so they left a week before we did. And there was this big high pressure system developing north of the islands. The green little speck there is the island that we were on. And so we definitely left too late and paid the price the first 3 days, definitely, which is why the baker was so seasick. So having said that, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the watch rotations. What we did were 6-hour watches. And my particular watch was from 2200 to 4 a.m. And I'd stay awake for a few hours to watch the sun rise, and it would always be whoever was done with their shift, they would make coffee for the next crew, and then we would transition. And there were always 2 people on watch at the same time. So Maciek and I did our watches together, and I have to say that I'm not a fan of the game Candy Crush. And when you're out in the middle of the ocean, the last thing you want to be is sitting next to somebody playing Candy Crush on their phone every single night. So that was a little bit annoying, but I did get a lot of time behind the helm. And behind the helm, I also should say that we used autopilot the entire time. And I think some hand steering would have been nice to be able to do, but I definitely would have preferred that. So my favorite time was when the guys were all asleep. And I just wanted to say that we discovered the leak on December 2nd. So that was, we left on November 16th, and on December 2nd, we saw some salt water building up in the bilges, and we weren't sure where it was coming from. If it was because we crashed into the transom into the dock, or was it some other issue that we weren't aware of? So that day, the wind was very high, and it brings me to, I just wanted to show you this video because this here, all in the middle there, those are all of the zincs that were in that back compartment that ended up getting flooded with salt water. So not the best place to be storing zincs, especially on an aluminum boat. So this is just a quick video so that you can see, because this is important to, when the swell was larger, the waves were coming over, and that compartment to port there had all of the zincs for the boat. And as you may know, the zincs are very important with aluminum boats. So just to give a quick discussion about the sail plan downwind. So again, the wing in wing is effective if you don't have a swell that's too big. You know, having the jib up on one side and taking down the main, sometimes that's the best option depending on what the conditions are. This photograph shows that, you know, we probably could have set that preventer in a better orientation to have a better angle. And I think that the Genoa, the code 0 could have been used a lot more. At the beginning, we did eat very well, and because we left in a rush, we were supposed to provision for produce, and that didn't end up happening. So whatever we personally got for our own stash, that was the produce that we were using. And halfway into the trip, there was no produce left, because we didn't actually get to do a proper shop, because we had to leave very abruptly because of the storm. These are some pictures of the meals that we had, making little fake pizzas and pastas and asparagus and whatnot. We caught 9 fish. I should say I actually did not personally catch any fish, but the guys did catch 9 fish. Most of them were mahi-mahi and 1 tuna. The one thing that I was a little concerned about was how much waste there was, that we weren't really filleting the fish properly to use all of the meat. And generally my philosophy is, if you're going to kill a fish while you're underway, use as much of the meat as you can, for Christ's sakes. So then
It was like flying fish. It was flying.
yeah, those were flying fish, and that is the mahi-mahi in the bucket on the left-hand side. That's right. We did not eat the flying fish. I gave them a little taste, but let's see here. I am over on the time, so I'm going to just quickly move forward and tell you about when we did get towards the doldrums on November 23rd. So we were off the coast of Western Sahara in 1,300 fathoms, which is 7,800 feet of water, and swam because it was so calm. We were tied off and connected to the boat. So everyone did it one person at a time. And so we did not shower inside of the boat. During the entire 25-day passage, we showered off the stern and had a line around us while we were showering. Surprisingly, the water was in the mid-70s, and I was shocked at how warm our Atlantic Ocean is out there. in November, no less. And this is a short video of just showing the swell that was happening on December 2nd.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It's a little bit hard to film it when you're on the boat because it doesn't quite translate as when you're seeing it from a drone or something like that. Let's see, why is it freezing? So on the Ark Rally, there was someone a Swedish sailor by the name of Dag Eresund, who tragically went overboard on a Volvo 70 named Ocean Breeze on December 2nd. And during that time, there was a search done for 19 hours and he was not found. He was lost at, it was about 2:27 in the morning, and at first they said that he had a life jacket and AIS on his life jacket, but I don't know if he didn't turn it on or if he didn't have it on or he removed it. Was it a suicide attempt? Was he peeing outside? Hard to say exactly what happened, but it just really was a sobering moment because after everything was said and done, the fact that the search only lasted 19 hours. There was a super yacht by the name of X Project that I believe it was 288-foot super yacht went out to look for them and gave up after a certain period of time. So they had a rescue operation of 4 different organizations to try and find him, but they did not. And he was only 33 years old, so that was, I just briefly wanted to talk about the woman who I consider one of my idols in sailing, Kirsten Neuschaffer, and she sailed around the Golden Globe race in 2022, and during that race she rescued another sailor a Finnish sailor by the name of Tapio Linton on his boat, and his boat sank in less than five minutes. Apparently there was some sort of bulkhead. He never really had any idea of what happened. The boat split in half and he had to deploy his life raft, and Kirsten backtracked 100 nautical miles to go save him. And I feel like I would have made a different decision because with our case, with the Swedish sailor, we were within 100 to 200 nautical miles, and I feel that if I was the skipper of that boat, I would have made an attempt to at least go in that direction, because we had a pretty fluid schedule, and an extra, even if it took an extra 2 days to save someone's life, I would probably have chosen to do that personally. And just the fact that Kirsten still won the Golden Globe race after rescuing him, and backtracking 100 nautical miles and then going back 100 nautical miles. So we're approaching Guadaloupe and had the flag. I did have an emotional moment here, so I will just share it with you. Glad to have made it, it just like, you really have an idea of how fragile your life is out there. And the first spot of land was La Desirade, which is a little island that is on the southern tip of Guadaloupe. Guadaloupe is shaped like a butterfly, and boy was I glad to see that land. And we cleaned up the boat, scrubbed her down, and as soon as I could get off that boat, I sure did. And I rented a sweet little like an Airbnb for 90 euros and a car for 260 euros for 9 days. And the nice thing about Guadaloupe is that it has 250 pristine, beautiful beaches, some of the best coral that I've ever seen scuba diving. While I was there, I went scuba diving 3 times. It's just an incredible place. I would go there in a heartbeat. The food was fantastic, and 100 waterfalls on the island. So that was spectacular to see. I would definitely go there. The food was fantastic and very Creole French influence, and that island in the corner right there is Descents, which was the first island that we saw. And then looking back, I just definitely, would I do it again? Yes, I would. Would I do it with the same crew? Oh, hell no. So that's basically my presentation. Thank you very much.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your adventure with us.
Thank you.
But in that adventure, what was the most important decision that was made that for any of us who are on a similar trip, these are things that we would have to account for?
Well, I think one of the most important things, and I know it sounds so rudimentary, the solution for stopping the saltwater leak, it was a design flaw in the stern that was making, we had about 3 buckets of salt water coming in on a regular basis during that passage. And so you were kind of nervous as far as like, are we gonna sink? The solution ended up being so simple because you're tasting the water to see how salty is it. Always taste that water to see what exactly you're dealing with. Is it a combination of fresh and salty water? And what ended up being the solution was shoving rags into these air vents that were off of the transom, because while we were in that swell, there was a wave, big wave coming from underneath and pushing up against, and that's how the salt water was getting into the boat, was through those vents.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's.
Yes.
Where was the ballast on an aluminum boat with a retractable centerboard or keel? Where was the ballast?
It's so interesting because the bottom of it ended up having a lot of the ballast built into the hull. And the centerboard was certainly heavy. It took a lot of work to, because we had it in the same position during the entire passage. It was in its full extended 9-foot range. I don't know how heavy that ballast is, but the design of the Alubat is having extra aluminum on the actual bottom, and that's where the ballast ended up.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Kareem is also, she's also considering becoming a member of our squadron.
Do you live here now?
Yes, yeah.
We have more questions.
Yes.
So when you got off, how long did it take you to get your land legs back? I mean, I know if I sailed for a day, I was like,
Yes.
yeah, like just
Riding
like
a
an hour or
horse.
two. So if you're out there for that long.
I would say it took me about 3 days. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
about 3 days to get my land legs back. That's a great question, because I do think it varies depending on the trip. Yeah.
I have a question
Yes.
about food.
Yes.
Did you have sufficient nutritious food the whole time?
So one of the things I omitted in the presentation is that I tend to travel with a sprouting jar. And I was so glad that I brought the sprouting jar and alfalfa seeds with me, because one of the great things is that you can just pour some of these seeds, put some fresh water in there, and 3 or 4 days later, you have something green and crunchy to eat. So that was one of the only green and crunchy things that we saw for the last 2 weeks of the trip. I was very happy to have that.
Do you have frozen food on board?
Well, actually, we did not have any frozen food on board on this passage. One thing I should say is that there was quite a bit of canned food, but Poland is known for incredible canned things. They had pepper beef and duck and different types of saucy things. So there were often things that we could make from that.
Question.
Yes.
Did you have an active freezer on board?
Yes, there was an active freezer on board. There were 2 freezers, one on top of the other, and both of them were being used as refrigerators for the journey.
Did you encounter many other boats?
So I would say that during the 25 days, we must have encountered about 12 boats. I saw one, so those were boats that might have been part of the ARC rally. And then the other thing, a few, like maybe 4 container ships, and I saw one fishing vessel off the coast of Cape Verde that I'm sure was doing nefarious fishing because their AIS was off. Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
Did you have any pests, cockroaches, or anything like that?
No, and thank you for bringing that up because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about in my presentation that I didn't get a chance to because I was concerned about that. And in the Caribbean, you do need to be concerned about cockroaches. We did buy some powdered poisons in Lanzarote before leaving, but the whole concept of putting this poison in all of the villages with our food just didn't seem like a really good option. And then if you're breathing it, and so I'm not quite sure what I would do. I don't think I would use poison, but
So
definitely
cockroaches get
into the boat. Yeah. So the big lesson is you have to make sure whenever you're provisioning that you're removing all the paper, because they can even live off of the glue that is on a can. So even the paper on the cans has to be removed, and you have to handwrite, are these beans, or what exactly is in there, and what the date is for expiration. But everything that comes in cardboard has to be repackaged in some other type of packaging to make sure.
If push comes to shove, I understand they're a great source of protein.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.